So I could not even qualify for INICET. Now, why should I think that I'll qualify in the NEETPG or even get a good rank in NEETPG? Now, this was a question which was asked by one student after the recently concluded INICET, and it took me down 12 years back in the memory lane to 2010 when I was preparing for All India PG, AIPG. Back then, that is what NEETPG was called as, right? AIPG. So I'll tell you briefly a short story is my story, and then you can decide yourself, will you qualify in the NEETPG or not, or will you get a good rank or not, right? So just listen to my story of few minutes. Now see, back then the All India PG used to happen in the month of Jan. First or second week of Jan was All India PG, and my main target was All India PG because the number of seats are always more in NEETPG or AIPG. AIMS was not my primary target because the numbers of seats at that time, it was even lesser. Now you have more seats in INICET, right? Pool. And the AIMS exam used to happen in the first or second week of November. So it was somewhere around 7th or 11th of November, right? And the All India PG was in the first or second week of Jan, right? So between AIMS and All India PG, there was a fair amount of time. But anyways, so when I started my preparation, right, during internship, I did some coaching classes. I took down notes of some subject. For some, I missed the classes. So I was not so serious during internship. Just because of FOMO, I joined a coaching because other interns had also joined. But anyways, moving after internship, I was half-baked. I was not that much prepared. Just I appeared for the exam for the heck of it. That was done and dusted. But then, that was in 2009. But in 2010, when I seriously prepared for the exam, and I could cover my first reading, right? The first reading of all the 19 subjects in a nice way. Whatever subjects I had not covered, I covered them up from different sources. And I could barely wrap up my first reading in the last week of October. And when was the AIMS exam? On 7th or 11th of November. So I did not have much time to revise the entire 19 subjects. And mind it, this was the first revision. So I knew that I don't have a chance in AIMS exam. But certainly I knew that I have a chance in All India PG because there was still a lot of time for revision. So I had to make a decision. Should I do something different? Revise specifically for AIMS, or should I not change my strategy and revise keeping All India PG in mind? So I went for the latter. I did not do anything specific for AIMS. I scheduled my first revision keeping AIPG in mind, but I filled up the form for AIMS exam. I appeared for AIMS exam, right? Because I wanted some kind of practice. So I could not have missed it. Anyways, I appeared for AIMS exam. My revision was going on. The result day was there. And at that time, I was living nearby RML hospital because before that, I was doing non-academic GR-ship, right, to get some funds as well. So to fund my preparation. And when the result was declared, in those days, there was no online platform for results. So you had to actually go physically to the AIMS academic department, and on the notice board, you had to look up, right, your roll number and see if you are there or not in the 50% qualified list, right? So the result was there. My heart was bouncing, right? And I took an auto from that nearby RML hospital where I was residing to AIMS academic department. I reached there, and with a racing heart, I approached the notice board and I scanned it for the first time with a hope that at least, because I knew I'm not going to get a good rank, I'll not get a seat, but I was hoping that at least my name is there in the qualified list. I scanned it thoroughly. It was not there. Right? My heartbeat further increased. I scanned it again. I might have missed it because it was a physical, I had to look through it. So I was tense, I was anxious. Second time I looked through the notice board, it was not there. I said, okay, let me have a look at the notice board again. Third time I screened it, but obviously by this time I knew my name is not there and I have not qualified for AIMS exam. I was utterly depressed at that moment, and I can't explain to you the feelings that I had at that time. And obviously, the distance from RML hospital to AIMS, I don't know the exact distance, but it is not a walkable distance. I mean, it can be easily 7 to 8 kilometers, I think. So now this time I came out of AIMS academic department, and I did not have the mood, or you can say, my brain was not working. I just started walking towards RML hospital. And the entire distance, I walked those 7 to 8 kilometers. And there was only one thing going on in my mind, that what am I doing? Because for the last 1 year, I was sitting, I was prepping, I was not earning anything. I was already asking money from my parents. So what is going on in my mind is, I did not qualify for AIMS. What if I will not even qualify for All India PG? And I knew that I'm not going to get a good rank in the AIMS exam. But I was still hoping that I'll qualify the AIMS exam, and that would have worked as some sort of validation for me that yes, you're going in the right direction and you'll qualify NEETPG. I wanted that sort of consolation from the AIMS result, just in the form of qualification, nothing else. I did not get that. So I walked for that entire 7 to 8 kilometers. I reached my accommodation, and by this time, a lot of things that are going on in my mind. That like if I'll not qualify for NEETPG, then I'll go back to Odisha, I'll join a PHC, and I have to go into the clinical stream, which I hate. I mean, I don't like clinical branches personally, right? So I always wanted to do pharmacology. So I did not have that much money that I can pay a seat and get an MD Pharma degree, right? Though MD Pharma is not that costly. But all these things were going on. I mean, what should I do, right? And I felt like crying, but I usually don't cry, so I could not induce myself to cry so that I'll feel a little bit relieved. But I went home back, and that day I could not study anything, right? I mean, it was evening time already, and I was not in the state of mind to study anything. So I just sat down, and whenever I am depressed, what I do, I go to sleep, right? So there is an Odia saying that whenever Odia people, they are depressed, they go to sleep, right? So I went to sleep, and I even could not sleep because the same thoughts were running on in my mind. But it was already the next morning, right, while I was toying with the thoughts in my mind. And the next morning, I sat down and said to myself that I cannot leave here because I have committed too much of time, resources, money, emotions, etc. into this preparation. I cannot leave it midway. The only thing is that I had doubts. Yes, I could not qualify in AIMS. How can I qualify in the NEETPG, right? I had only, there was month of November and December. So 2 months, frankly speaking, was there. But the next day I sat down and said to myself, find the reason why you did not qualify. The reason is, when the AIMS exam was there, I had not even revised 2 to 3 subjects because I just began the first revision. So I did not remember a lot of things. So I said to myself that you had not revised anything. And the fault that I could find in myself was that revision. So revision was not inadequate. It was not there. There was zero revision before that. I just barely completed in the last week of October, right? So the reason I could find out was lack of revision. And I said to myself that let us see how things go after the first revision, right? So after the first revision, which I completed mid of December, 15th of December. So when I completed my first revision, before that, in the grand test that I used to give, I was not able to get 50%, not even qualify the grand test. After the first revision, 15th of December, the next grand test that I gave, I qualified. I got 50% in a grand test, and that was the moral booster for me, right? 15th of December. And then I planned for second revision, a smaller revision before the exam. And that smaller revision, which I completed towards the end of, December or Jan first week. And after the second revision, when I gave mock test, right, before the exam, just 1 week before the exam, and in that mock test, after the second revision, I'm telling you, after the second revision, when I was not able to even qualify in the grand test, after the second revision, all of a sudden, my rank was under 500. All India rank was under 500. So, from being not qualified in AIIMS to being qualified or getting more than 50% in grand test to getting under 500 rank, right, after second revision, this all happened in a span of 2 months. So this is what revision does to you. Revision will accumulate things in your mind, right? And that is when you remember things and you're able to solve the right questions. You're able to get the right answers, so to say. So my exam was on first or second week of Jan. When is your exam? Your exam is in March, 4th or 5th of March, whatever the date is. So you have 4 months, November, December, Jan, Feb. And believe me, in these 4 months, if you revise, strategize, that revision will make you a different person. Your performance will drastically improve. So to say, so if you have not qualified for INICET exam and try to find the reason. If you have not even revised once, you know what is the reason. Now, if you have revised only once, then also there is an element of doubt. The reason being, even the first revision does not improve your efficacy that much what your second revision does to you. After second revision or third revision, when you do smaller micro revision that you do before the exam. So even I did a small revision of 4 to 5 days before the exam where you have to scan through the notes, right? So after the second revision, right, you'll be invincible. Now, if you are in the category, you have read once, you have revised it twice or thrice, and even then you could not get a good rank, then my dear friend, you have to analyze what could be the reason. Right? Is the reason that even after revising it so many times, you're not able to remember the information? Now, if that is the case, you have to change the way you revise. Yes, I'll tell you how I used to revise. My revision was pretty simple. The reason being, see, the important thing is not how much you revise. It is how much you remember after the revision. You have to be pretty clear in your mind in that how much you remember after the revision. If you don't remember, what is the use of revision? So I used to challenge myself every day to see if I remember stuffs that I've revised yesterday or not. And then for a small period of time, I would re-challenge myself if I remember what I revised day before yesterday or not. So every day in revision, I had 1 to 1.5 hours where I would challenge and re-challenge myself to recall, to remember whatever I have revised yesterday, day before yesterday. Do I remember them or not? If I don't, I would re-revise them. So by that way, what happens is you revise, but not only that, you revise to remember. So remember this, if this is the fault, if there is a fault in your way you revise, this is what you need to do. Second is, you remember stuffs, you've revised well, your plan is well, you know things, but somehow when you get down to real business, that is solving MCQs, that is where you're not able to find the right answer. You're getting stuck in between two options and you're not able to find the right answer. Then my dear friend, you have to work on your strategy of solving MCQs. The reason could be you have not given enough grand test or mock test. So from next week itself, get down to business, start giving 1 GT every week. Yes, right? So by that you'll have adequate number of MCQ practice and that will improve your performance. Third is, sometimes what happens is, though this is this is something that happens with all of us, that we have some 2 to 3 subjects which are weaker. So most students, not all, but 90% of us will have some subjects which are the weaker spots that we have. And if that is there, then you have to rework on those weaker subjects or weaker topics or whatever they are. But see, this video, you have come just an assurance from me, to get an assurance from me that yes, you stand a chance in NEETPG. And let me tell you, yes, even if you have not qualified for INICET, you still do have a great chance of getting a rank in NEETPG. Not only getting a rank, a good rank, a very good rank, under 1000 easily. That is what revision does to you. It refines you in such a way that you are the best version of yourself, right? So anyways, I gave NEETPG and I got a good rank, and I always wanted pharma, but I was getting medicine, surgery, and diploma of orthopedics, radiology, etc. But my heart was in pharma, I moved on. But this is something I learned from my own hard experience, right? And this is why, this is what I wanted to share with you guys today, so that you don't get demoralized. Because it's not only me, there are a lot of people out there, right, who have been through this. They have told me later after going through this, and they have bounced back. So there is every reason in this world to keep believing in yourself and going forward every day, right? Study, keeping in mind that you are studying. Why? Because you're going to get a good rank in the NEETPG. You're going to make it in the NEETPG. That positive faith or belief, it takes you an extra mile every day. So guys, keep hustling, keep working hard, and never ever stop believing in yourself, right? I'm always there with you. Whatever doubts you have, you can always contact me. Lots of love and blessings. This was Dr. Ranjan, Pharmacology faculty.